Hi everyone, hope everyone's doing well. I'm here to talk about my internship from this summer with the Torrington Titans Baseball Club in Torrington, Connecticut. What you need to know about the Titans are that they are a collegiate summer team competing in the Futures Collegiate Baseball League of New England and in Torrington, Connecticut, which is about a half hour west of Hartford, if you know your geography, about 2 hours north of New York City. The league has 10 teams in a variety of different states in the New England region. Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire are the 3 states that have teams of their own. The league had 30 players drafted in the 2015 Major League Baseball draft, making it one of the best in the country. There's a handful of leagues that you hear talked about, such as the Cape Cod, Northwoods. Around the Ada area, it's more Prospect League and Great Lakes League, but it's along the same area of that. 2016 will be the league's 6th year of play, so it's still a relatively young baseball league. What did I do in Torrington? It kind of started out as officially the title was a baseball operations internship with a focus on media. So the media relations side of it, I maintained the team's website. I created new content for the website and social media accounts. I served as a contact for local media, and I wrote game recaps after each game played. As far as the other side of the internship, after it got going, about a month in, I kind of turned my attention to other things on the baseball field and did a baseball operations side of things as well. And for that one, I scouted players internally and externally, meaning I'd look at players on our own team and say, you know, this guy's good, this guy stinks here, so we might want to think about doing something with him. And I also scouted players externally, which these summer leagues, they have a whole list of releases online, and every week the list grows. Obviously after kids, get hurt, go home because they don't like it, things like that. So I'd always look through these lists of releases and call some of them if we needed another right-handed pitcher or we needed another outfielder here or there. Maybe we needed another infielder, which happened on a couple occasions this summer. So I would do that and say to our general manager, hey, you might want to take a look at this kid from Rhode Island, that's good. He did this, and this with his team he played for earlier this summer. And he did this, and this during his college season. I attended league tryout dates and college showcases. The FCBL tryout date was in late May, and it was really for Division II and III guys that have yet to catch on with the team. From what the commissioner told me, it was a pretty weak class this year of guys at the tryout day, but there were a handful of guys taken from that and put on to teams in the league. I think 5 or 6 of them ended up having an impact in the league later on in the season. I compiled a list of local and national collegiate players available, and again, that was usually lower level Division II and Division III guys, because all the Division I guys, had been put in leagues, but there's always that kind of diamond in the rough, if you want to say, from some of the Division II and III guys. I would speak with their college coaches each week, and the coach would call and just say, hey, how's Mike doing? How'd he do this week? It wouldn't be, the same college coach wouldn't call week after week, but, once every 2 weeks, once a month, they'd check up on their kids and just, the 13 players that program had in the summer leagues, they want to hear all about them and how the team's doing and how, their student athletes are looking on the field. As far as my hours went, I worked varying hours depending on the day, between 9 a.m. and midnight. On game days, home game days, hours were approximately from noon to 11 p.m. or whenever the game ended. I had a game go 17 innings and didn't get out of there until 1 in the morning, so that was fun. On a non-game day, typically hours were from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., so basically a regular work day as far as that goes. I also went on the road with the team for away games. Travel times ranged from 1 to 4 hours, just depending on where we were going. The longest trip was 4 hours, and that was to Martha's Vineyard, which was a pretty cool trip overall. But, 4 hours, I'm not sure it was really worth it. You had to take a ferry there, obviously, because Martha's Vineyard's an island. And here's a map on the bottom right-hand corner of the presentation showing you where all the teams in the league are. And I've got an arrow there pointing to Torrington, Connecticut, and that is where we were located. And to the left of the screen there is our office building. The top left corner, the very left side window, would be our GM's office. We actually shared the office with a construction company on the bottom floor. My media duties for my internship: each Thursday morning I would take a player into a local radio station and do an hour-long talk show. It was kind of on the state of the Titans, upcoming games, upcoming promotions, and then they would talk to the players, like getting to know them a little bit, where you're from, what college do you go to, and then just some baseball-related questions. So I was there to kind of babysit and make sure the player didn't say anything stupid, and also to kind of fill in as the voice of the front office, if you will, and tell people about any upcoming promotions or anything that we're doing like that, special events. Keep in touch with local reporters on stories of interest around our team. I would talk to reporters once a week, sometimes from different media outlets and local newspapers and radio stations, things like that, just to keep the interest in our team high and make sure that they still knew that we were playing baseball in the summer. And eventually I think, everyone that I talked to out at the field, and I would talk to them during games as well. I would write and release press releases to the local media after big events, and there were a few that we had this summer. About 15 games into the season, our manager quit, so that was a big turning point because he had won the only playoff win in franchise history the year before. So that was a big deal around the town and in different local sports media outlets. And our ownership changed as well about halfway through the season, and it had been an ongoing thing, so everyone knew it was kind of coming. But eventually when it did, I wrote the press release and sent it out to the media that got published in newspapers, online, things like that. Special events and assignments: I had touched on the league tryout day where I evaluated college players who were looking to play in the league. And as the commissioner said, it was a week class this year, but a handful of guys from that did go on to make some noise in the league. Titans Media Day was our first big event. It was, I believe, June 1st, just 3 days before we opened the season. So I wrote bios and compiled a media packet for all different members of the media. They came to watch practice and to get a leap on all their different stories that they were doing, interviewed players. And I'd say about half the players on the team actually got a 5 to 10 minute interview with some of these guys. The Futures League All-Star Game and Scout Day was a pretty cool experience. It was in North Shore, which is north of Boston. Very nice park, and I networked with other league front office people from other teams that I had gotten to know over the season, and then actually scouts from 28 different MLB teams were present to evaluate the talent that we had put out there for the Scout Day, and then they obviously stayed for the All-Star Game that night as well. This is beautiful Fusenage Park in downtown Torrington, Connecticut. It seats about 1,600 people. We had 2 sellouts this year. That was opening day and the last day of the season. Otherwise, crowds reached about 400, 500 per game to see a good college baseball product on the field. Baseball on the site actually dated back to about 1920, but they did not build what you see here with the stands and things like that until the early 1990s. And then in the early 2000s, they scrapped all the wooden back seats that you see in the foreground here for metal bleachers. This was actually at the All-Star Game. As you can see, turf infield, some nice facility there. The North Shore Navigators is the name of the team that hosted it. But these were the representatives from our team. The guys in the gray shirts were the ones that played in the actual All-Star Game. The ones in the orange were there for the Scout Day, and we nominated players that we thought would maybe a good fit and maybe had a chance to get signed with different major league clubs. And actually, the one in the orange on the far left actually did end up signing a contract with an independent professional baseball team after the season was done. This is just kind of the media work that we did. That's our website, the top right hand picture there. Below that is a tweet: in 11 games since July 17th, Titans outfielder Franklin Jennings is hitting .462. And those are some of the things we would tweet out to make sure, just keep the fans into it and just provide interesting information on the state of the team. We also obviously had a Twitter page, we had a Facebook page, and an Instagram page as well. And every once in a while, we would post YouTube videos with interviews with either the coach, the GM, different players, things like that. And actually, the Twitter thing was pretty interesting because the commissioner had a big hand in how he wanted teams to tweet. and he wanted teams to tag, he wanted teams to tag the player, he wanted them to tag the college team of the player and the college athletic department, and so on and so forth. So basically, what he's trying to do just to get as many people to see the tweet as he could and attract interest to our team and as well as the league. These are some photos of some community events that we took part in. Top left is the Memorial Day Parade. That was the last week of May, and we actually handed out 1,000 free tickets that day. And we got a pretty good turnout on opening day. As I mentioned, the park was full. But these are just a handful of players and the manager on the far right that handed out those tickets and spoke to fans, things like that. Top right-hand corner there is an in-game radio interview that we did. Actually, each game at home, they'd have their radio booth set up on top of the press box, and I would take players up there, in this case 2 of our pitchers, to go talk to them, and they'd get to know the players. And it was nice for the parents too, because they could hear their kids. Actually, we had a kid from California, and his dad listened to every radio broadcast. So he was excited, and actually gave me a call once his son went up there to do the interview, and just kind of said, I haven't heard my son, or I haven't talked to my son in 2 months. But I got to hear him talk on the radio tonight, and that was pretty special. Bottom left-hand corner was the 50-50 raffle that was kind of like pulling teeth to get the players to do. But no one wants to buy raffle tickets from me. They'd rather see a guy in uniform during the game. It was usually a pitcher in the bullpen or a starting pitcher that had started the day before. So they went around, and you wouldn't believe the reaction that these fans had. It was kind of like in awe of these guys. Like, you're right there, almost a professional player, still in college, just selling raffle tickets in the stands. Bottom right-hand corner, community appearances. That was actually at a local school that we went to, and they gathered all the kids in the gym. The players took time playing catch with them, signed autographs, gave out free tickets to them, and whatever parents were there as well. Actually, I don't have a picture of it, but we went to an assisted living nursing home and had a brunch, the Torrington Titans brunch, with all the residents, male residents there at the nursing home. The learning outcomes, I learned a lot about networking and how important it is. As I mentioned, I talked to the different scouts from the major leagues, as well as the different front office people from within the league. And it's definitely an important part of the league, developing a relationship with these college coaches who send you their players each and every summer. Learned a lot about sponsorship and sales, everything from team sponsorships to putting their banner on the outfield fence, to getting team bats made, and to season tickets as well. I learned a lot about communication as well, building relationships and communicating with everyone involved in the team, and there were more people than you can even imagine involved in the running of this collegiate summer baseball league. There were 4 interns, GM, and then we got help from so many outside people, the ownership, the board of trustees, if you want to call it that we ran everything past before we did things. And then host families as well, and we had a good network of host families in the city that takes these kids in for 2.5 months, and they love it just as much as the players do. It's like having almost another kid just around for the summer, and they get to come to the games. They get free season tickets, free shirts, things like that. The season ended up not so well. We lost 3-1 in the first round of the playoffs to the Bristol Blues, which is our in-state rival, about 20 miles away from Torrington. Overall, the record was 24-29, finishing 7th out of 10 teams in the league. Summer 2016, I was offered the job as the assistant general manager next summer. Probably going to accept that as well, unless something else comes my way in a higher league. The head coach and I have been working on scouting and signing players from colleges across the country to play for us next summer. And on the right there, that's the championship trophy. Actually, the team that won it this year has won it 2 years in a row now. So we're looking forward to playing them next year. And that's the league championship trophy that we'll be taking home next season. And of course, feel free to email me any questions or comments you may have about my internship. And I would definitely highly recommend this internship to any students of yours that would be interested in working in baseball. The league is a great league and an up-and-coming league. As I mentioned, 6th year of existence. They'll play their 6th season next summer. And all the teams are kind of run the same. Obviously, some teams have bigger parks, bigger budgets, but I mean, it's baseball, and anyone interested in baseball, I would highly recommend this internship. Thanks.